Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I just want to share a few things about the research topic or factors to consider when developing a research topic. Because if you don't get it right at that stage, it becomes very complicated as you proceed or as you move forward with your study. I've got a call yesterday from one of my potential clients. She was like, "Hey, I don't know where to start in terms of choosing a topic. I don't want to overshoot or overcommit on something that I'm not going to complete." And I liked that approach. It simply means that one needs assistance or guidance on which path to take when selecting or developing a research topic. I've always emphasized on the issue of overcomplicating the whole research process. I know some people go there being too ambitious and so forth. There are certain factors that one should consider in order for them to develop a researchable topic, if I can put it like that, so that you don't find yourself wanting, you don't find yourself struggling to complete what you have started. It will depress you, it will frustrate you. Remember, once you go for postgrad, you need to complete that. Other than that, it will always frustrate you in terms of saying, I need to go back and complete, I need to go back and complete. So my point of departure when we were discussing what one needs to consider when developing a topic, I said, what inspired you to do the qualification that you're doing? What was the reason? Were you looking for employment? Were you looking to expand the business? Were you looking at starting a new business altogether? And then the answer was straightforward, to build where I am. We then discussed the type of business or the type of work that one is busy with. Because remember, I've always stated this, that when you're choosing a research topic, it must be that it will add value to you as an individual, or it helps you prepare for the future, your career endeavors or business aspirations that one has. So you want, for example, to start a small business. You are working a full-time job, you want to. So it is always advisable that when you're choosing a topic, it must be something or a topic that will open doors for you. You understand? To gain new knowledge or to expand from what you already busy with. You understand? So it's way, way, way important that one chooses a topic that adds value to you as an individual on your professional life or adds value to your career future endeavors. If, for example, let's go back to the example I wanted to make earlier on, an example of starting a small business. You're not certain, for example, of the industry that you want to be part of. Use that opportunity to learn more about the industry, because your research project or dissertation, you are able now to use it as a framework while starting your business. You get to learn more about the industry. What are the opportunities that are there? What are the challenges? You are able to do your SWOT analysis, which is your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats or risks that are there in the market before you embark into that journey. Remember, starting a business while you are working, because most of the time, people who are doing postgrad, in many cases, are people who are already working. So if you are going to start a research, you are already working and you want to start a new business here, or you want to venture into something totally new from what you are doing, use that opportunity of your research to study for what you want to embark on in the near future, on what you want to study in order for you to get more information of the type of environment that you want to go into. Let's go back to that example of a business. You use this opportunity to study that particular industry. The opportunities that are there, what opportunities are there? Your research will challenge you into reading more about your line of research. It will challenge you so that therefore you'll be discovering new things. You'll be discovering new things, and that will enable you to identify the risks that are involved in this particular industry. So, in the true sense of the word, you are actually investing in your personal development. You are also at the same time investing on your business, because that document, once it's complete, it's going to be now a framework where when you are running your business, you simply go back to your documents and no, I discovered this and this and that and that and that. It is very, very vital, because we tend to research things that are not that important in our daily lives, things that are not going to have a positive impact on our future. Hence, some of us feel overwhelmed by the whole process. Some feel like they want to drop out because they don't see the value in what they're studying. Don't do a research for the sake of doing a research, because it can drain your energy, and you will have to at some point consult with the experts in that particular field. So if you are doing something already that it's going to be a need in your life in the near future, because it's an investment. Don't do it for an academic purpose. It's just for you to pass and get a good mark and then you graduate. It's not going to be worth it. Look at the time allocated for research only. If it's a qualification that's got coursework, you are normally allocated about 6 months. Complete the coursework, then you embark on the research. Then if it's a research-only qualification, you are allocated almost to a year, up to 2 years, doing your study. So you might as well use that time and the resources at your disposal to invest in your future. Yes, I know theoretically, things like availability of data, time, and so forth, the factors that you need to consider. But I want us to be practical about this, because I've seen a lot of dropouts from people that were conducting studies or were doing their researches. And some have lost interest and said, no, I just want to drop all of this. I've done my coursework, but I'm only left with this and I'm not looking forward. I just want to start a new qualification altogether that does not require a research, that's wrong, of which you've wasted a lot of resources. Hence, I'm saying, let's not look at research in terms of a theoretical perspective or in an academic perspective. Let's use that research to uplift ourselves, or to build our communities, because social ills or community challenges, if I can put it like that. So in many cases, we as young black people, we go to university just to acquire the qualification. At the end of the day, that qualification helps us not to progress in life, or we get to sit at home without getting jobs. So can I please just pause for a minute? Then I'll come back, and then we can continue our session. Sorry about that. It's just a disturbance. Someone was making noise on the other side. We have our offices in our butchery, so it's a little bit chaotic around this time. It's lunchtime, so people are busy doing certain things. As I was saying earlier on, that some of the things that one should consider in this process are the community challenges, social ills that are faced by our communities when conducting a research. We need to be more practical about research rather than being theoretical or do it for the sake of getting a particular qualification. We are sitting in a society that is faced with a high rate of youth unemployment. We need to use now the opportunity of being funded for postgraduate qualification to solve those particular problems. We need to use our research to solve all the challenges that are faced by our people. Remember, when you go for postgraduate qualification, you must be a solution to your own people. Let's not overthink this think about these big corporates and so forth. Many of those companies or topics have been overly researched. Let's come back to our rural settings. Look, how can we use our environment to empower each other? You understand? For example, in the agricultural sector, people conduct studies about the use of technologies, your drones, your apps. For example, in the Eastern Cape, we are faced with one of the biggest challenges that we are faced with is the issue of stock theft. So, if one is it's conducting a study within that field, we must be able to provide solutions to our society on how do we address those issues of stock theft and agriculture. Let's go back to the issue of small businesses. Small businesses are at the core for our economy in terms of job creations. For example, in this small business that I'm in, here in this company, we are about 12. It's a small business. It's created jobs for 12 people. Those are direct job opportunities. And they've created a lot of indirect jobs. So one comes into that space and find a topic there. Look at the challenges that are faced by South Africans who are operating, for example, spaza shops. How do we take over the ownership without having to fight with the foreign national? How do we take the ownership of spaza shops and have that economy back to our people using research? So one must break into that space, find knowledge, get knowledge, acquire knowledge, and come and plow back to our societies. I think that's the reason why many of us are doing postgraduate studies, understand, to solve social problems. So, if it is something that you are passionate about, you will definitely complete it, because it won't feel like a burden. It won't feel like you are studying, but it will feel like it's part of your life. So I'm coming to you, a postgrad specifically, trying to appeal that when we are choosing topics, let us be a source of solution to our communities. When we are choosing topics, let's choose topics that we can identify with. When we are choosing topics, let's choose topics that will add value into our future endeavors, be it business or career. When we are choosing topics, let's choose research topics that will interest us. That is very important, because research journey on its own, it's lonely. It's not a group work or group assignment. It's an individual thing. And when you get to the stage of data collection, for example, many people are very reluctant in participating on a research study, more especially in academic research, because they're not being rewarded to do so. So they don't see a need. If you are conducting your study in a particular company, they feel that they're being investigated, more especially in government departments. So they are reluctant. So hence I'm saying, if you are going to embark on that particular journey, make it worthwhile. Make it to be worth it, the sacrifice, because you need to establish a relationship with these participants and try to convince them on why they should participate. It's draining. It requires a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of sacrifices. So why would you just sacrifice for something that only is for academic purposes? It's not going to add value to you as an individual. Let us not rush on the on publication of our research. I want to publish. Will that publication assist the very same people that were there when you were struggling, the same people that you knew about their struggles when you went to university? Because we tend to forget of who we are and tend to be glamorous about the studying process or about the research process as it is. Yet our communities provide room for further studies. Our communities encourages research because of the challenges that we are faced with on a daily basis. So and I always advise people to say, go to your underdeveloped areas, go to your rural areas. Those are the people that truly need you to provide them with an idea of where to go in order for them to make their livelihood better. So, hence I'm saying, if you know that you are making a huge impact through your study in your society, it's not going to be easy for you to drop out. It's not going to be easy for you to give up. And those people will voluntarily participate on your study because they know that they are to benefit from the results of the study. They have all the time because they need solutions to their social problems that they're faced with, be it agricultural sector, be it small business sector, be it socially. Let's tap in there. Let's tap in there and provide solution to our people. One is empowered through education. So let's use our education to empower our society. And in the process of doing so, let us not lose ourselves. It must always, I want to emphasize on that, it must always be exciting. Because every time you come back from work, you will be willing to open your laptop and want to dig more and read more and to do something. It must not be draining. You understand? So, hence I'm saying we can look at the theoretical factors that are contributing to these issues, or theoretical factors that one should consider when developing a topic. But we need to be more practical about this. We need to look at the challenges faced by our communities, because many people look up to us as graduates in our society, but we're not bringing anything on the table. Instead, we are the first people to complain about these social problems in our communities. We are the first people to raise these issues. Let's not rather focus on raising problems, but rather focus on the solutions. So how do we then identify these solutions, practical solutions to the problem of our society? This can be easily done. This can be easily done through research. So, all in all, what I was trying to say today, when we are considering in conducting studies, we must go back where we come from and identify those challenges and research more about them, because they are not unique. They've been studied before in other countries, in other continents, and they had, more especially your developed countries, and they had a huge impact on those particular societies. So it is up to us now to study them in the context of our society. Because even though they've been studied, the dynamics, which is your culture, your legal environment, technology, other factors, might change on how we approach these particular challenges that we're faced with. Drug and substance abuse, taking over small businesses by foreign nationals, us going to the street and complaining. Yes, it's fine, it's within our rights, but we as scholars, what are we doing? Because after we have toyed there on the street, and we need practical solutions, because these guys, yes, we're going to successfully chase them out of our country. We will then be sitting on how do we push this business to be profitable. I'm not saying they were not profitable before, but how do we push them? So that's when the scholars are coming in. Say, we have developed these frameworks. Let's try this, let's try that, because they have been tested somewhere in the world, and they have been successful. So how about we then test them and then adjust them according to, you see, seeing our people every day crying of challenges and problems while we are sitting in universities studying but not making an impact, it's a little bit confusing to us. So let's try and be problem solvers of our communities. Yes, people are going out the street, they're toiling for this, looking for this particular challenge, looking at this particular challenge. How are we fixing this? There's an issue of water in our communities, yet there are boreholes in our community, natural streams and boreholes. How do we purify that water and distribute it into the society? Because seemingly our government water system is not sufficient. I'm trying to make an example. Some of the challenges that we're faced with. People now, we can see in other parts of the country, people are now starting to experience cholera, as it is happening in Central Africa. How are we fixing that to ensure that our people are not exposed to these waterborne diseases? I'm just making an example of all these issues that one should consider when conducting studies, so that we go to relevant platforms and share this. And share these issues. Hence, I was saying, let's consider our societies first when we are looking for research topics. Let's not think of, yes, it's good to think about these developed cities and developed countries, but let's look at those strategies that have been used to develop those cities and try and apply them to our small towns and see how best we can assist those people in the year's time. There's a question there saying, my current talk right now about assessing the role of me regarding the issue of water security. That's wonderful. That's wonderful in rural areas. That's wonderful. Water security is very important because our people are being exposed into waterborne diseases, something that could be preventable because we have access to water, but security is something else. Hygiene is something else, of which we as postgraduates, we need to find, I would like to say, cost-effective ways, because we know that that people, I know, I understand, no, it's a topic, I got you, Rich Madam there, I got you. We know that people residing in these areas are living in poverty or below poverty line. So they can't afford. Hence, we need to find cost-effective ways. There are people out there that are willing to fund social projects without looking for any profits. There are businesses out there that are looking to fund these social problems, understand, projects. So it is advisable that once you've conducted the study, share it with the community, publish it. Many people will use your study to solve that particular issue. I think that's the purpose of doing a postgraduate study. It's not for self-enrichment only, but it is the empowerment of the entire society. You understand? The issue of small businesses, it must be studied thoroughly. Now that we see our people complaining every day on the street that we don't want these illegal foreigners, we don't want foreigners in that space, it's fine, it's within our rights, it's our constitutional right. But once you have taken these buzzer shops, what do we do? That's where you, as a postgraduate student, come in and say, okay, I've conducted a study here. I've explored these opportunities. You understand? Now, there's another topic says, now I want to assess the role of men on this matter, as we know women and children have been doing it. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. We, as a society, we need to play an equal role on our lives. We need to play an equal role. So it's very important that your study will be empowering men, not to regard the water issue as a woman responsibility. Because if if there is no water in the households, everyone gets affected. You understand? So it is everyone's responsibility to be involved in that process. So I'm saying, one of the topical issues in South Africa that one should explore, it is the issue of small businesses owned by foreign nationals. Hence, but the law prohibits that. Now the law will speak to us as citizens and say, okay, this space is reserved for South Africans. Once that has been done and foreign national shops have been closed down, what are we doing as postgraduates to prepare our people and empower our people with information? You understand? Prepare them for the new technology. You understand? In our rural areas, you even see that it's still a struggle for old people to use a smartphone. How do we close that gap? Smartphones are a thing of today. They make life easy. We conduct our meetings online. Community meetings supposed to be held online, and so forth. So how do we empower our parents to use smartphones and not be the victims of fraud and corruption that is being done by fraudsters? So those are the kind of topics. That one, and then you share those findings with non-profit organizations that operate within that space in your community. You understand? So because there is a tendency, or there is a mentality, I don't want to say it's a tendency, sorry for the use of that word. I want to say there's a line of thinking from our parents that the use of cell phone is for dating, it's for all of these unhealthy things that we do online. They're not looking at the positive side that you are able to attend church online. You are able to use social media to recruit church or to make a grouping of umgalelo and so forth, all those things. You are able to run a business online because we've got parents that are selling maize meal, are selling all these things, umbona, and so, but they are not open into how they can use technology to maximize their profits and provide for their families. There's a question there again. We're always worried about literature review, Prof. That is why we are scared to do other research topics. Guys, I'm not a prof. I am Mr. But thank you for that. You're speaking it into existence. It will happen. Don't worry about literature. Literature is out there. Hence it's called research. It has been done before. You just have to go in that space and read as much as you can. Literature is never a problem. There is literature there. Don't limit yourself to Google Scholar. Subscribe to certain journals and online libraries. If, for example, you go to these private colleges, they've got online libraries. Hear from them if they can't subscribe you there, so that you pay a minimum fee in order for you to access those valuable journals and textbooks online. So the problem with us, we tend to be, I want to say this in a layman's term, we tend to be lazy. You understand? We tend to be lazy and rely more on Google and Google Scholar. There are various journals that you can subscribe to in order for you to get the updated information, and subscribe on private libraries for you to access certain information. Okay, now that you are a full-time student, you don't have all these resources. Don't be lazy to read. Guys, let's not be lazy to read. Information is out there. It's just waiting for us to go and get it. So don't be afraid for literature review should not be your main concern at this point. it should be not, yes, it's one of the most important factors that you need to consider before embarking on your research to see if there is sufficient information out there. It is one of the most important thing. But speaking to these social problems, remember, if we go back to these developed countries, they were faced with similar problems and they've studied them, hence they managed to come out of them. So it's not going to be a challenge for you now to get into that space. Now that we are speaking about the social ills faced by our communities, it's not going to be a problem for you. So let's go in there and study as much as we can in order for us to uplift one another. I think I have covered a lot for today. If there is anything, absolutely anything you want assistance with, drop me a message on my inbox. I'll be willing to help you. But if it's something that requires a one-on-one consultation, I will let you know how much it will cost and how long will it take. And then upon agreeing on the price, we then start working. But if it's something that it's not that deep, it's not that challenging, I'll gladly assist you and respond to your question. But if it requires in-depth explanation, I'll let you know and tell you how to go about, how much it will cost, and how long will it take us to resolve that. Having said all of that, I appreciate you guys. I could see that there are likes, there are messages. There's a lot that is happening here. I can't answer every question, guys. Please, if you could, Prof, to look at the desktop research versus field research. Okay, there are pros and cons of a desktop study. Okay, a desktop study means secondary data, meaning which the data that is already available, the study has been conducted and has been published. Now you want to use that secondary data. The process is similar, but it only differs in the collection of data. Here you'll be collecting a secondary data, on the other side you'll be collecting the primary data. But the principles are quite the same. Will you have access to that data that you want to use as a secondary data? So in the secondary study, in most of the time, you are critiquing or a particular policy or a study that has already been published or a data that is out there in the public, trying to summarize and look at a particular point of departure, not the entire study. So the other one uses the secondary data and the field research uses the primary data. That's the difference for now. Let me not confuse you on other things. You just have to know that. But there are certain institutions and certain topics that do not encourage the use of secondary data. You understand? So in many institutions, it's very important that you engage with your department and inquire if your topic does fall under secondary data study or field research, or will you be allowed within your university to do so? It's not always the case everywhere. The reason for that, when you are doing research, literature review is a secondary data on its own. So the advantage of doing a field research, as you call it, primary data research, is that it is the combination of the two. But the desktop study is only limited to published information. That's where it gets tricky. But now, the primary or the field research involves both the secondary and the primary. Because, excuse me, when you are doing a primary research, you go out, collect data. You've already done your literature review, which is your secondary data. And for you to confirm your findings, if you are doing a qualitative study, you still need the very same literature review on what are the observations or the findings that were made by other authors when conducting a similar study to yours. So, hence, many institutions will always prefer a primary data, depending on the topic. It contains, it encompasses both primary and secondary, the field research, unlike the desktop study, which mostly rely or it relies entirely on secondary data. I hope I've answered your question. I might not be able to answer every question that I'm coming across, but I do appreciate these questions that you guys are dropping on the comments section below. They are very informative and they help us to clarify certain issues that most of us are faced up with. So it's very important that please, in the next session that we will be hosting, please do share your likes and so forth. Those are encouraging for me to keep on working. I hope that I've covered everything for you guys for now. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hoping to see you very soon.